the next steps will be just to authorize the payment, and then it's just scheduling the onboarding call. So would that be appropriate, or what do you think?
You know what? I like the idea. I understand that I have to, invest if I'm going to do something. I just don't want to get started with with the payment at this time until I make sure that I have something that I can pay you.
Out of those, like, what do you think could be helpful, if anything?
Well, we wouldn't really go with either of those. Honestly, those are, probably bad from that stand.
So what do you think, guys? Are we doing that? Okay. And what card do you want to use?
I'm gonna have to go grab that for you because I don't keep that one laying around for me. Well, Arseni,
Hello, Chuck. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you and see you. Let me make sure I got my stuff going on here.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Good to
Hey,
meet
guys.
you. Good to see you. Yesterday, my son CJ is sitting behind me. Oh, yeah. Wanted him
Nice
to
to meet
come in
you.
and kind of help
Yeah.
get us through this next. So
Sure.
I didn't. I tried to get into the link that you sent me yesterday. For some reason, it didn't come up, and I was
Mm.
a little too late for me to come and respond. But I have seen some of the other stuff that you have on
Hmm.
your website. So I have an understanding for what we talked about yesterday. But yeah, if you could just take us to the next level, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, 100%. So, I would say this call, like, it's really pretty basic. Uh, I think what I was kind of curious about is, like, help me understand. By the way, nice to meet you, CJ. I guess help me understand what is, like, sort of even the main reason you might be, I guess, like, looking for some outside help with this. I guess, rather than just, let's say, keeping doing what you have been doing so far.
What would you feel in your opinion?
So we do a lot of we've done a lot of events with like certain networking groups. CAI, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's like a
Hmm.
community association institute. And we've been doing that, the two of us kind of on our own. We're not exactly, I would say we're not people persons. We're not cold callers. We don't know how to,
Mm.
we're
Right.
not interested necessarily in small talking with people and getting them
Yeah.
to build that relationship. So we kind of could use some help, I guess, in that regard.
Hmm.
We don't stay on top of any social networking stuff, really. We're just, I don't, you told them it's just us, right?
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
us. So we're doing a lot of the work ourselves. So the extra stuff, and by extra, I mean building websites, doing
Right.
social media posts, email blasts, following up on the people that we do end up talking to at these events. Those things kind of get pushed back because we're just too busy working on
Right.
other things, trying to get work out the door kind of thing. So
Sure.
that's where we stand.
Right.
I think
And I know. Uh-huh.
another aspect that we've had in the past, in my past life, even before his, was that when I was with the big companies, we always had the opportunities for the social gatherings, well before the COVID age, like shut everything down. People would be able
Yeah.
to go to a cocktail party, go to a function, walk into a room. Sometimes you knew people, you were able
Hmm.
to work that quickly. But the downside of that, as you're saying, is that as much as I may hate to, admit it, we're engineers. Our DNA is not
Right.
made to, be the life of the
Yeah.
party. We're pretty analytic about stuff like that. And,
Sure.
if I think for that reason that become, whatever our strong point is as far as figuring things out,
Hmm.
it takes away on this end of the equation.
Yeah. Makes total sense. And I know we kind of briefly discussed that, but let's say in terms of the projects, like, what will be, let's say like the ideal amount of them to kind of for you guys to handle. I guess what is like the goal here?
I didn't catch the ideal amount of which.
Like the projects, like how many would you like to be taken?
I could probably, I did a lot of work with, our business is a little bit misunderstood. Everybody seems to feel, and that's another thing that we have to overcome.
Hmm.
Everybody feels that because you have a large company, and I did work, I said, for the largest company in the
Yeah.
state at the time, that you need to be with the big company because they can handle all these projects. The fact of the matter is that I had a group of two or three people that was working on 10 or 15 projects at any given time, but our clients didn't know that. They thought they had
Right.
200 people working on them.
Right.
If they did, it would have been to their detriment because people would have been tripping over each other. The product wouldn't have been good, and we all would have been, like scratching our heads trying to figure things out.
Right.
So, bottom line, I could handle it just with me and him, working ourselves alone. 5 to 10 different projects at any given time. Turn them around in a
Hmm.
month. Go to another one. If and I have resources to bring people in. If we have to
Sure.
start with some more draft and engineering teams, that's an easy thing for me to, to help upgrade and build into it.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned you would like to focus like on the quality of the projects as opposed to just like the pure volume, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be a big help for us because
Hmm.
once the type of clients that we have as developers, they tend to be relatively loyal when you do a good job for them. They'll
Sure.
come back to you for that. So, we could get ourselves started with the developer side of it again and pick up on that, which is the guys that
Hmm.
are the projects, going to the planning board's application, things like that, as
Okay.
opposed to the community associations, which are more politically driven. We'll
Mm.
do a great job for a community and be in there, and all of a sudden, the guy that down the street who won the election and said, I don't like this guy,
Mm.
my predecessor, we're going to take out his engineer because he was part of him. So,
Mm.
that
Right.
happens. It happens a lot. It's the public side of the business, which we're not thrilled about.
Sure. And I guess before speaking with me though, like have you been out there, let's say looking for some sort of way to, or maybe somebody to help you with this, like let's say communication, marketing, and stuff like that? Or I guess what have you been doing, if anything?
Well, in the past, we've had a couple of business, and I've always described that I think incorrectly, and I'm starting to try to correct myself as we go along. I
Hmm.
always encompass this as marketing in my mind, my overall mindset. I believe what it's probably more specifically called is business development, as opposed to just
Sure.
quite casting a bread. Instead of fishing, I think we should be hunting. We should be
Hmm.
finding the prey and going after them,
Right.
as opposed to just throwing a net out and saying, anybody come to us, because I think that results in like a lot of like you said, poor
Hmm.
quality projects. It's all said and done.
Sure. Right. And so, well, I guess kind of following up on that, like aside of like let's say just getting the leads, like what else do you feel like I don't know could be like helpful in a potential cooperation like that? Because I mean, I think you kind of mentioned the right point. Like it's not just marketing, right? Because like sales and marketing are related as well.
Right.
It's more like business development. So I think like what do you think would be helpful as well in like a potential
To me,
cooperation?
to me, being the most helpful thing would be making the contact to get in to see somebody. If I could sit with somebody and
Okay.
talk to them about what they need, I feel very confident that we'd be able to convince them, that we're
Right.
the right people to help them do what they can do. I've really, never had a situation where somebody's, behind the scene. This is even going back, years, where somebody said, "Wow, that
Yeah.
that just didn't work for me." There
Mm.
there have been times people have made decisions, obviously, in other directions because of whatever it may be. I don't know that it was price entirely. I'm flexible on prices here. Obviously, working with just CJ, we have a small company and we could definitely, adjust our scope as, a lot better than a
Hmm.
large firm that's got, like tons of overhead. But,
Right.
going back, I think I didn't answer your question previously. We did have a couple of people working for us from a standpoint of, the marketing and the business development. But the problem
Okay.
was is that we never really got the opportunity to sit and meet with the people, to talk to them about their
Mm.
particular project, what their needs were, or
Right.
kind of like be able to sit and convince them of who we are and how we can help them.
Right. So it's like you just like have been generating some attention, but not necessarily converting it to like something tangible, right?
Correct. And I think I
Hmm.
think the mindset, like I said before, that we're fighting is that if and I got to be honest with you, there's a lot of money that changes hands among the top elite people. And
Mm.
when I was working with my major company, we had politicians on board, we had former mayors, there was people who had favors, and there was other contributions that were made. I just don't have the ability to do that right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure that I really want to get into that world because that's a little bit more than I don't like to look over my shoulder after I'm done doing my work. I just would like to help
Right.
somebody, give them a good product, and be able to, stay on that line.
Sure. Okay. So is that understand like the goal, like the potential goal you have in mind is like just making sure you can actually speak with the person that has like a tangible project and not necessarily, just looking for something untangible, right?
Correct. Yeah, I have no
Uh-huh.
problem once there's an opportunity thrown in front of me to be able to, take it the rest of the way. Ours,
Right.
ours, ours is the, having somebody, open the door after somebody like yourself or your firm would be able to, open that door for us.
Sure. So I guess I know you said like you have like a pretty lean operation, but is the goal kind of to increase the scope, or is the goal to kind of stay
Oh,
like around the
absolutely,
same
yeah.
size?
I like engineering, but I'm tired of doing it, quite honestly. I'd like to get to a point where I can train people, bring them on board,
Hmm.
have them do the work for me, oversee it. My perfect day would be to come in and overlook a couple of projects for an hour or two and give people direction and then go play
Right.
golf with somebody.
Sure. Right. So what would you say is like let's say like let's go to the numbers. Like let's say what is like the goal that you have maybe like, monthly revenue, annual revenue, I guess what do you have in mind? Like let's say for the next like
Uh,
three years, like what is like the goal?
I could easily see me and him doing $100,000 a month.
Hmm.
That kind of
Okay.
work. Right now, we'd probably be between 30 and
30,
40.
35.
That,
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah,
that,
sure.
and that's enough to keep us just barely going. And then if we get a slow spot, things get a little, a little iffy. So we could,
Right.
expand, get ourselves to that 100,000 a month. That would, be a certain goal that would give me the ability to then start to expand, and we could take it to the next level from that
Sure.
standpoint. And again, I think I mentioned to you, my focus right now is to try to open up into a realm that we haven't been in, which is South Carolina. I
Yeah.
do know that there, I
Right.
do know that there are people from our area that are trying to expand down there from the standpoint of developers,
Hmm.
not specifically who they are or the people themselves, but there's a lot of development work available down there, and if we could,
Sure.
somehow tag to that flow going down with us, that's gonna, I think
Yeah.
that'd be, the best
Yeah.
bet for us.
Right. And I guess well, what I'm curious about is like let's say if you keep kind of doing things the way you're doing them right now, just when it comes to the business like business development side of things, right? I guess how much like how much time do you think it will take you till you get to 100K per month on your own? I guess.
You took on my own.
Well,
It's not.
just like I guess with the way with the way you're
The way
sort
we're
of
doing
using.
it, I can't see it happening right now. I mean, we're
Oh,
basically spinning our wheels. We're
right.
bringing something in on the far end. It's replacing something on the, that we've already done, and we just don't have, that circular flow that keeps on,
Yeah.
it keeps going.
Right.
We're kind of like, stagnant. We're in sand trying to spin our wheels and get out of it. We haven't been able to do that
Sure.
yet.
Right. Well, I guess like let's say we could actually come in and kind of help you. Well, let's say get to this level. Like I think in your situation, like it's pretty realistic, right? I don't want to I don't want to say like we'll get you there in like 2 days, like
Yeah, I
by all means.
understand.
But yeah, but like let's say we could help you get closer to 200K per month. I guess what would that even make? Like I guess what kind of difference would it even make in the company though? I guess uh you know how how the things will maybe be different than they are now though.
Well, obviously the flow, it would be, busier. It would be a lot more comfortable from a financial
Hmm.
standpoint. And it would allow us to expand, and start looking into those things that are going to make the operation. And we're
Right.
basically doing it ourselves. I'm
Sure.
I'm I'm an engineer. I like being an engineer. I hate being an accountant. I hate being a
Right.
bill collector. I need some
Yeah.
support staff, and I think that would be the biggest help to the situation that would then,
Sure.
hopefully even springboard into more, opportunities those ways.
Right. And I guess, well, have you sort of thought like what happens if if you like don't find a way to get those projects though, and like this situation kind of stays the same, for like, another let's say couple of years. Like, have you
Well,
thought what
we're,
happens?
you know, we're going to have we're going to do what we want to do, which is move down to our South Carolina area. It's going to be rough.
Okay. Hmm.
Do I see myself going out of business? No, I don't see it ever
Hmm.
being to that. There's enough to. We're kind of at a critical stage right now where we have business that keeps us busy, but it stops us from expanding. It stops us from being able to focus on the things that are going to allow us to
Sure.
expand. That's if that
Okay.
makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, and I would say this is like I would say the main reason clients even come to us in the first place is because
Mhm.
they're not necessarily going out of business. Well, because like I think there's not much I could do in this situation if the company is because something is probably wrong in the
Sure.
operation, right? But I would say most of
Right.
them they have been just relying on word of mouth for 20 years, and right now
Right.
they're making some money. Maybe they're even making some profit, but it's like it kind of the tendency I see between them is they want to start outsourcing some work and maybe hiring some people. But because of like the
Hmm.
inconsistency in the flow, though, like they're not necessarily like they're like afraid of hiring somebody who will be actual like an actual A player because they're just afraid,
Hmm.
sometimes maybe they'll just not have projects to kind of feed them, right? So I would say this is like one of
I
the
agree with that. That's a great description because I agree with that 100%. I didn't touch on
mm,
it, but that's, the ability for us not to get to that next level. Like we've had people in, and we've had the point, a year or two ago where we were running three design operations, but we had to pull it down because
mhm,
things slowed down. So now we're back
right.
to just myself.
Sure. Well, I guess based on what you've told me, really, like what we do, will definitely work for you. So I think what I could do, I could just like share my screen, and just kind of walk
Uh-huh.
you through, the presentation, just kind of show you how the things work, and then we can just talk about
Okay.
some possible next steps. Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Right.
That's good.
And I guess just before we do that, I know you kind of like I guess have some understanding about the system, right? So you watch the video, you're kind of aware of what is going on. I think the best
Generally speaking,
place,
yeah.
yeah, I guess the best place to start will be just I think for me to ask like what maybe specific questions do we have about the systems, just so that I could just get straight to the point.
Well, honestly, I didn't get. I saw the people that you had giving the references, but I
Okay.
really didn't get a feel for how you
Oh,
pull it
right.
off.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, let me just pull this up really quick. All right. Can you see my screen?
sure, I can.
Right. So when it comes to this, whole presentation, like I would say it's really pretty basic. So I think all makes sense to do is just to kind of briefly introduce myself, show the industry experience, and then it's basically breaking down the actual system that we have, like how we actually get the projects, and then yeah, we can just talk about some possible next
Uh-huh.
steps. Is that cool?
Yes.
Right. So first and foremost, I know you pretty much probably have seen something from that, but it's once again just to kind of give you an
Yeah.
idea of what is possible with that. And what I wanted to emphasize is, so we have both like experience both getting small and big projects at the same time. So for example, like as you can see, some projects were like 5, 10K in fees. But at the same time,
Right.
let's say when it comes to, for example, this case of Ben, like he got a like a 1.5, $2 million project. And so he is an architect, like he will make around 10 to 15% of it. So it's like about 150-ish K, right? So I guess
Right.
the point I'm trying to make is like we usually try to make it custom because some people really they would just like to have a lot of small projects, right? And
Hmm.
don't have anything against it. But some clients we work with, like they just want the top 1, top 5% projects, like the highest kind of scope,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so, oh, for example, but at the same time, let's say in this case, so Daniel, for example, like this guy, he actually closed the first ever project that, within like 5 days of launching the system, I think. It was the first ever lead that came through, right? I was
Okay.
surprised, I would say, like it's not average, that's for sure. Usually it takes at
Sure.
least like a couple of weeks. But this is kind of to give you an idea of what is possible. So he got the lead, so name, number, email address, and some information. He called
Right.
and he closed the project like the next day, right? By the way, I'm not saying this is exactly what it will look like in your case because
Right.
once again, sometimes it takes some time, right? But this is just kind of to give you an idea of what is possible. Do you have a question?
No, not yet. I understand so far.
Right. And so just to kind of summarize, so 2023, on average, we're getting about 6.4x return on ad spend. Helped more than 30 partners to grow, more than 2,000 leads, and on average takes us about like 3 days to start getting leads once we launch. And just so you know, so when it comes to the ad spend, kind of going a bit forward, when it comes to the fees, there are two parts of it. And the ad
Hmm.
spend is what goes directly to the platform that we use to advertise. Right. So, for
Okay.
example, it's social media. So this is what we need to pay social, like the Facebook, let's say, to make sure we can run ads on the platform. Right. Does,
Right.
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right. So when it comes to the system itself, so what we do on the front end is we do create a custom advertising system for you, basically from scratch, right? So we use social media, mostly it's Facebook and Instagram, and it's purely because of like I would say the targeting options that we can choose from. Because we can literally target the specific zip codes, specific type of people, whether it is owners or even like filter people by the income, so by the budget, right? So what we
Yeah.
do, we come in, we take some of your past projects, and we just create the ads from them. So we basically kind of create this whole funnel, and those are like the actual ads we run. By the way, this is kind of just an
Okay.
example how it looks like. But what happens then? and I would say this is like the key sort of criteria is we only focus on the specific location and the specific type of people to show the yes to, right? Because at the end of the day, like it wouldn't make sense, to show it to every single person out there, because most of them, like obviously they will
I
not be
agree with that.
qualified.
I think that was
Hmm.
the problem I had with some of the people, one of the last girl that we had doing it, she just was basically broadcasting everything, across the entire internet when it was like really not going to
Right,
be
I think
beneficial.
she was just giving it to her people that she knew,
That was even
which
worse.
wasn't that many.
Yeah.
right.
So,
And
but
so,
there wasn't any specific target. It was just
Mhm.
basically whatever came
right.
across.
And just so you know, like I'm not talking it could be just, let's say, South Carolina, but it could
Right.
be the specific zip codes in South Carolina because, maybe with the higher property values and stuff like that, we have quite a few options. So for example, they should live in the top 5% of the zip codes by the household income, and they also should be looking to buy or sell a property recently, for example, because
Okay.
sometimes it increases the likelihood. So we kind of have a lot of these kind of hidden sort of settings that we use just to make sure we only get the qualified people and not just kind of spraying and praying, if we can call it like that, right? So it's like
Right.
it's hyper targeted. And so just so you know what happens, I think I'll show you like the actual landing page. Give me one sec. So for example, like if they see the ad and they are interested, they'll obviously click on like a button that says like learn more or something like that. And what
Mhm.
happens then? Like, well, this is the example, for example, for like an architect, right? What happens
Mhm.
is we create a page like that. I mean, obviously it's custom, so it could be like we could change that. And basically, they have to go through like a survey. So, for example, okay, what is your email address? What is your name? What is your number?
Right.
For example, do you own a property? Let's say yes, I do own a property. Tell us more about the project. And so this is the field where they have to manually type in like what the information about the property, right? So for example, one of my clients, we actually were on like a check-in call today, and she got like a commercial project this way because they actually physically typed in, okay, so we have a new build, it's a commercial project, we need an architect, for example, right? So
Mhm.
they need to say something here, and then let's say will be the what is the square footage, let's say it's 2000. And by the way, we can add or remove some questions, so it is custom. Then it's like, let's
Mhm.
say, the time frame, then it's the budget, so kind of like that. So and once they submit this information, it comes over to you, right? So you can actually see what are the responses, and you can basically contact them. So like it all happens automatically, right? But what they can do as well is as soon as they kind of submit it, they get transferred to this page, which is the calendar basically. So what they do is they just like choose a time to speak with you, and they just kind of book a consultation or like an estimate with you, and they expect you to contact them at this time because they actually choose it themselves.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, make sense? Or did I just
That's
completely
yeah.
confuse you?
No, it does. It definitely makes sense.
Right. Do you have any questions about this whole process, I guess?
No, so far everything you've explained to me makes sense. I literally carried it out in order to contact you guys, so I understand how it works.
Right, right. And so what happens then is as soon as they come in, well, first of all, you get notified. So you get an information via text, like let's say just the information they submitted, and also the same when they schedule appointments, right? But what
Yep.
happens then is we basically contact them on your behalf, right? So it's semi-automated. Sometimes it's automated. Sometimes we actually manually do that. And what we do is we basically just text them and confirm the information they submitted. Because, well, some people will not be qualified, and it's better for us to determine it before you actually have a chat with them. So it kind of just increases the quality, right? But the second
Yes.
thing is some people will submit the form, but they will not book a call. And this is why, as you can see, like those are like the actual conversations, just and it sends
Mhm.
the actual link. If they click, they just go and do the same. They book a call with you. So it's just kind of designed to convert as many of them as possible. It's I gotta say, like, it's not about the visibility. It's not about getting like followers, views. We don't really care about that. It's just about the conversions, like just the tangible projects, like people who are ready to hire. Like, okay, like these are the people we want to work with. Making sure you
Right.
actually can get in touch with them, go, bid a project, and just sign a deal basically. Right? Any questions on that?
Anything?
No.
No, it sounds pretty. I understand what you're doing.
Okay. And so really the last but not least is, well, first of all, usually as a standard, we have Up to you, but it's either a weekly or bi-weekly performance call. And it's basically like if you would like to do something like that, like you will be communicating with me like the whole way through. So I don't really outsource the client communication. Obviously, I have people to, they help me with the campaigns, but the communication is just myself. And this call is really just to kind of go back and forth in terms of the leads. So for example, we jump on a call and you go like, okay, so those 5 leads are not the best fit, like not the people we're working with, but those 3 are like the best. We've sent 2 proposals, get us more like those and less like those. I'm like, okay, and we do this every week just to make sure this
Right, so
communication
you could
is like
find it
ongoing.
once we start. Right.
Exactly. So because we can,
Got it.
we have those levers. Like we can, for example, get more people through, but the quality will be lower, or we can, get less people through, but with a higher quality. So we can control that. And last but not least is the area exclusivity policy. What it means is we only work with one company per geographical location, and it's purely because I don't want more than one of my clients to get the same leads. So it's like if we're getting the leads in the area, like it will be only to one company.
Okay, that's very important.
Right. And when it comes to the price, I'll just address the elephant in the room. So it's 1,500 per month, which is a flat rate. So no loan agreements, month-to-month basis. And then the separate is the ad spend that I mentioned. So this is what you need to pay Facebook directly. Like we don't take this money, we just, like connect your payment method to Facebook. And I usually recommend a minimum of $30 per day. Sometimes clients do 50, so kind of from 30 to 50, I would say.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Any questions on how the pricing works, or just overall?
General, I understand what you're doing. I understand what you're saying. So absolutely, we're good with that.
Okay. CJ, what about you?
No, I mean, it looks good. I mean, so basically, the whole concept is this is an
Mhm.
ad. Like, let's say you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, right? These would pop up to people that would be like looking for these kinds of services, or you're just kind of marketing towards the home value.
Sure. So we have really like a lot of different ways. Depends on the type of project we're looking for. Just to be able, to determine like what type of people will be more qualified for the services. So, for example, it could be like those, let's say, real estate factors. They need to be buying or selling property. They need to be. Sometimes it's just by the budgets. When it comes to, let's say, some repairs or renovations, right? So we kind of have like, let's say, it could be just the people, like just the C-suite, the owners, the founders, and stuff like that. So we have quite a lot of them. Let's say they need to be interested in property renovation, or they need to be the first buyer, for example. So we have quite a few of those options, which we obviously like optimize constantly, just to kind of determine like what type of people we're actually looking for.
Right.
But to your question, yes, it is on social media, so it pops up. Yep. And
So
we
it's
just make
not
sure.
like they have to be actively searching, like, hey, I need an engineer. Like I type it in and we pop up. It's like one of those random ads that kind of shows up.
Sure. So it's not where they have to type in, like it's not Google Ads, for example. But what
Right.
it does is it might see the previous results that they have been looking for, and
Okay.
gear those ads more towards those people, right? So we've tried Google Ads as well. We just decided to not do them, just because like we're getting the same results, but it costs more.
Yeah.
Because if people are looking for an engineer specifically in your location, it could be as high as like $50 or $70 per click, which doesn't mean a converted lead. But with
Right. I got you.
with Facebook and IG, usually we aim for, if it's local, it's about 35 to 45 bucks per qualified lead. If it's a statewide campaign, it could be as low as 15 or 20.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. I think, we pretty much kind of covered the basics. Well, really the next steps will be just to authorize the payment. And, then it's just scheduling the onboarding call where we just go over the whole setup, connect the platform. And from there, it takes us about like 2 or 3 work days to kind of build the whole system.
So the 3 days that I saw, you said 3 days from launch. Is that from like when you would sign a contract, you're live, or does it take, a couple weeks to get the ads and the website or whatever it is kind of put up and then launches whenever that's ready?
No. Really, it takes us like about 3 work days to build this whole system. The only thing,
Okay.
like, it depends on how fast you can approve it. So, for
Right.
example, like if you can approve it, as soon as we send all the creative assets, because we send the ads to you first for you to take a look, then we could go live as soon as 2 or 3 days. We have this part pretty dialed in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So would that be appropriate, or what do you think?
Uh, you know what? I like the idea. I understand that I have to, invest if I'm going to do something. I just don't want to get started with with a payment right this time until I make sure that I have something that I can pay you. And things are, they're starting to get a little bit better for us. Let
Mhm.
me, you're going to send me something, right, to look at and sign off on everything.
Well, yeah, usually, yeah, we just process the payment, and then we just sign the agreement via PandaDoc, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let me take a look at what we have as far as reserves are considered right now.
Hmm.
What are the things I'm trying to catch up with? And you know, I think it's definitely some. I think I wanted CJ in here obviously because he's younger than me and he knows what's going on, a little bit more
Right.
computer savvy, and social media is obviously something. It's funny because I have a nephew who is taking over his father's limousine business, and for
Mm.
some reason, kid hasn't gone onto the computer yet and like set up a website that he could have people book his
Mm.
rides.
Right.
And it's just, I'm even telling him like, how could you in this day and age not have the ability for people to book your rides? You could be going crazy. And now I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, I'm as bad as him because I could probably be doing the same thing. So
Right.
I understand what you're saying there, but
Right. And yeah, well, I definitely understand the numbers. Could be an issue. I guess, like, how do you think we can resolve that? So that you actually put the funds together to kind of start getting the projects.
is there a way to reduce the coverage to get the cost down, or that doesn't work?
What do you mean by that?
In other words, I guess once you're up, you're up. It doesn't. There's not like a lesser package or something that you would be able to work into the mix because it's all
So
pretty much right.
yeah, so when it comes to that, I mean, kind of what sometimes our clients do, right? When things are maybe like a bit tight on the budget, or there are just some
Hmm.
issues with the numbers. Like what we sometimes are able to do is we take the initial fee, and then we could split it into two parts, right? And so we put down the 750, and then
Right,
the 750 is at the end, so in 30 days, because
right.
always by this point, like people have at least one tangible proposal sent by this point, so that it kind of
Okay.
makes much easier for them to keep reinvesting. It kind of becomes self sustainable, right? I guess if we were able to do something like that, I guess would that be more helpful, or I guess what do you think?
It would definitely be helpful from that standpoint.
Hmm.
Uh, I think the thing that the ad spend though, that's really, like the part that you're talking about, I can understand that that's something that we could probably do. But the ad spend, is that always going to be that cost, or is there any way to
So
have that?
you mean the 30 per day, right?
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. We have run campaigns, and we have seen even some success with the campaigns with as low as 20 per day.
Uh,
But I also want to be completely upfront and honest with you. If we go below 30, it will make our job a bit harder. I'm not saying it's not doable. That's for sure. We have seen some good success with even 20 per day. But if I were about to make a suggestion, then it will be 30. It could be 25, or for example, it could be not 7 days a week, but let's say 5 days a week. But yeah, this is just kind of out of experience. And just so you
okay. Yeah.
know, the ad spend doesn't have to be upfront at
Yeah.
all.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it just does it kind of like on the ongoing basis, like daily. So it's the second part is not upfront. Очень вовремя я решил выключиться интернет нахуй. Просто выключился и все. Hello? I
Yeah,
think I
you're back.
lost you. Yeah, I think I lost you for a second. I apologize. As you can
Yeah.
tell, I'm not in the office. I'm traveling right now.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, I think I missed your response, I think.
Yeah, under my understanding of of the ad spend, it's basically a daily thing, and then I guess the numbers of is it a quality of how long it goes on, or is it the bandwidth, or I wouldn't understand
It's
that.
really just the amount of eyeballs, right?
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, we can basically adjust it. Like, let's say we can keep it on the lower end to start with. Then once we get some quick wins, then we could just increase it once it becomes self sustainable, because we can literally uh, you know change it, depends on your preferences. So yeah.
Did you ever figure out, or do you have an estimate of what the value of that is percentage wise to the contract awards? You know what I mean? Like my understanding of the marketing sales end is that it's like generally like a 3%,
So everything that changes is speed. Doesn't
mhm,
change the type of clientele, doesn't change the amount of them, but it changes the speed of getting the same results,
yeah,
right? So, for example, if we spend like a hundred bucks a day, the
right,
results will be five x faster as if we spend 20 per day. And
okay,
that's really the only thing that changes. Like if you want to do it, 20 per day, we can do that. That's for sure. But I'm just
right.
saying from my experience, and obviously it would have been probably better for me to tell you, oh, and promise you that, oh, we'll get you the same results. But I just want to be realistic with you.
Appreciate that.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like if it's less than 30, it will be harder, but it's doable. Like, once again, we did some campaigns. It's just not
right,
recommended.
right.
So, all right. You've done it engineering firms before, like engineering projects kind of thing?
So we did with firms that are at the same time architectural and engineering firms.
Okay. So, because we're kind of, I would say we want to lean towards marketers, or not marketers, sorry, developers,
Yeah.
meaning we get a lot of like plot plans, residential guys, and they keep money coming in the door, but they're just more trouble than they're worth, it seems.
Hmm.
Like, they take much longer than it would to do like a big commercial plan, or let's say, like, so for instance, South Carolina, right? They're exploding as far as development goes. There's got to be some kind of like business. I'm even thinking like businesses from New Jersey moving down there kind of thing. That
Hmm.
would be what we would like to do, like a Wawa, which is like a big, it's like a convenience store chain up here. But
Right.
I can see people like them moving down, or like, big developments, those kinds of things. Are those kinds of people using like Facebook and Instagram ads to get their teams? Because it just seems like, I've only been doing this, what, 10 years now. And
Hmm.
it seems like all the developers are very loyal to their one company that they use, kind of thing, right? So they're giving all their jobs to the same guys.
Well, but at the same time, would you argue that there are still some developers that, like, in this exact moment, make some new partnerships? Well, because obviously, if the developer is like 50 years old, and I mean 50 years in
Right.
the
So I guess
so.
my
Mhm.
response to that is, you have experience doing this. Are you seeing that? That's kind of my question.
Yeah, so let me paste something in the chat. Well, this is literally the last response we got from the client's campaign, like literally like a couple of hours ago. And as you can tell, it's a commercial project. It's the commercial project. So because we can literally target, well, obviously the audience will be smaller and the cost per lead will be higher, but we can literally target owners, founders, CEOs, local businesses, stuff like that. And just so you know, as a side note, the exact system I showed you is the biggest acquisition channel for our company to find architects, to find engineers. So we just use literally the same system aside of the
Okay.
emails. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, we're doing a lot of plot plans, and they just are not.
Yeah,
Like they keep money coming in, but they're just a lot of trouble for the small amount of actual work that we're doing.
sure. Well, the good
Uh,
thing is like it is adjustable, and this is why we have
okay.
those weekly calls, right? Where it's like just to evaluate the results and for me to make some suggestions. Because for example, just to give you an idea, once again we can tailor that because with one company, it was in Vegas actually, and we started, and they were like, okay, so I just want to advertise in those like 5 zip codes. So the audience was like really small, and I made a suggestion like, I mean, we could do that, but expect like a very high cost per lead because the audience is small. And he was
Right.
like, I'm fine with that. Let's test it. And the first ever lead we got was like it cost like $150, and on average we're getting 40. So it's kind of pricey, right? But that being said, he closed this exact first lead, and I'm like, I'm not changing anything because
Yeah.
this is the type of clientele that we're looking for, you know. So it is adjustable to kind of the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. Another question I have then is, I'm going to reference South Carolina a lot because we're moving down there. I would rather work in South Carolina than New Jersey at this point, just regulation wise. And it seems like the
Right.
development is more booming that way. Um, I don't know how many native South Carolinians are developing. I think it's a lot more like northern companies kind of developing that area. I don't know that they're necessarily moving down though. So how do
Right.
you recommend like targeting those people versus just native South Carolinians, you know?
That's a good question. There are some settings where it's not we can target not just people that live there, but also, for example, travelers that have been there. But also to your point, like I think the Ben's at the beginning when I showed the results. So Ben is originally from California, but the project he got in Idaho.
Okay.
But and the guy didn't even live in Idaho, so he
Right.
lived in a different state as well. You
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Because that's kind of my concern is like we would be targeting South Carolina homeowners, and those aren't. I don't think those are the people developing down there at this point. I think it's a lot of, you know, New York guys coming down to develop, or maybe orders
Exactly.
are all over.
I totally get what you're saying. And so, well, this guy he was building in Sun Valley, which is like place for like your secondary houses. You know, originally I don't even remember what he said is from. Don't want to lie. So, yeah,
All right.
So you could identify and target those individual type of people, or whichever you call it.
yes, for sure. That being said, it all requires testing. That's for
Mhm.
sure. So you know, it is the only way to go about this is to test stuff. But yeah, we did. I mean, we did this in the past. So yes, we can do that.
So you start one way and then you kind of refine it as we go if we're not getting the exact
Exactly.
clientele.
And then and this is what once again this is why we always jump on calls for you to give the feedback, right? Because the key feedback we need is the sales feedback. Like, did you
Mhm.
attend this appointment and what happened?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. So
Well,
what do you think, guys? Is it
I
worth it?
like the sound of it, and again, like as everything, it's always the money in the bottom line that
Well, yeah.
that comes to the end.
It's like
So
what is it? Chicken and the egg question, right?
sure,
Obviously, it takes
absolutely,
money to make money.
Right.
yeah. I mean,
Well, yes. So we understand the point is we definitely have to spend the money to make the money. That's no question. It's literally a matter of do we have it in our pocket right now to start, I think. So we need to go look at the bank accounts and see what's coming in and invoices and maybe possibly go do some emergency collections to be able to get that first payment into you so that we can start. Because I think it's a good system, and I think once we start, you know, the money won't be a problem because it'll be coming in.
Right.
That's the big thing is we just didn't have the constant flow. It's kind of like you said, we had one client, we finished their job, and then they're knocked off. We get one more, and it's kind of just a stagnant
Sure.
thing. I think
Sure.
this would grow us exponentially. It's just a matter of getting started, I think.
100%. Well, I mean, if it really all boils down to that, I mean, we could have this conversation. Well, because well, obviously, like it doesn't matter for me when to get paid. If I know because we always collect it on the back end,
Of
right?
course.
So I
Yeah.
think how would you like to do that? Like what do you have in mind in terms like if it's really just the like logistical money thing?
What do you think?
I don't know. And I know you're concerned about it, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I just don't want to get into a situation where we spend the money to get started and then we run into a problem. And it sounds like
Well,
you
yeah,
guys are successful
sure,
with getting clients in the door. It's just a matter of like we may have to refine our system to collect. We don't do a lot of retainer stuff. We usually just start the project and then, when we finish, that's the problem. Like I'm saying with the plot plans is if they're so
mm,
small that and they're single homeowners, that they're not really willing to put the money up front. They kind of want to have the product and then pay us, and then it's a hassle of getting paid.
It's a bad business model of our industry.
Yeah.
We're kind of stuck in it. I can't go up to somebody and say, pay me, like if I buy a car, I gotta pay the guy before I get the car. My business, I can't do that for some reason. That's just the way
Maybe
it's
with
always been worked
the
out.
smaller ones, and that's why I'm saying the bigger ones would be easier for us to say, all right, give us a retainer, and then we could literally take the retainer. And this is just me kind of
And
spitballing with him.
well, yeah,
But
sure,
like, we could take the retainer and make that your fee for the month, and then we wouldn't have a problem with this. But,
sure.
it's just a matter of kind of that situation.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, can I make a suggestion on what the clients do sometimes?
Yeah.
If they just have some like issues with the with the numbers. Like what we do sometimes is once again like sometimes we could like break it down. Sometimes they just put it like the first kind of part on the credit card, and then they just pay it at the end of the month. Sometimes they take like a like a business loan. We don't really do financing. We're working on it, but those are kind of the options that sometimes the clients do. So I guess out of those, like, what do you think could be helpful, if anything?
Well, we wouldn't really go with either of those. Honestly, those are, probably bad from that stand. When I would say that you'd probably be looking for your 1,500 beginning of the month, and then how does the bill come in for the ad space?
So that's a good question. So for the ad spend, it we connect your payment method directly to the platform, and then
Uh-huh.
it kind of builds you on thresholds. So the first one will be $10, then it will be $30, then it will be $50. And so let's
Right.
say at the beginning it will bill you daily, then it will be every 2 days, every 5 days, every week. So
Uh-huh.
and kind of like that. And by the way, you get bills directly from the Meta, so from Facebook. Like we're not
Right.
the middleman.
So that's not, yes, directly to the system.
And they're variable. We don't know what they're going to be until they hit, right?
No, we have direct control over it because we set up the
Okay.
daily budget, and like if we set at $30 per day, like it physically can't spend more than 210 per week. Like you could
Mhm.
spend 35 today and 25 tomorrow, but in 7 days it will always be to 210.
And obviously, there's an initial startup that you have to deal with, right? As far as that, is that correlated to your fee? Is there more upfront for that, or are we just simply talking about 1,500 a month?
So it's just 1500, and I mean sometimes we spend more of the ad spend at the beginning, but very very rarely. So usually it just stays like that. So
Is,
yeah.
is there any program that you could offer for 1,000 a month that would get us started, and then we could expand ourselves to where we need to be?
So essentially what you're saying, if we were able to do 1,000 a month, then we'll just do that.
I think we could do that. Yeah, I feel more comfortable with that right there. And then, as time goes by, if we need to expand to get to that level, what would be the difference? What could you do for that?
I mean, sometimes like it really depends on the needs. It's not that
Uh-huh.
because sometimes we do like LinkedIn campaigns as well, like that direct LinkedIn campaigns. Sometimes we do content, so it kind of really depends.
Yeah.
Or
So,
sometimes we just expand the campaign and we kind of split it into two with lead magnets, for example. So we have quite a few options with that.
okay. So is there something we could do for 1,000 a month?
And so okay, so let's say I mean, if we were able to do it for 1,000 to start with, I guess what do you think the next step should be?
Yeah, I mean, you would prove, just move forward with whatever part of the program that you could, get in the door for that $1,000 a month, and you let me know from that standpoint what we got to do on our end. I guess we got to supply you with whatever backup, gets it going, and then we, see how it all works out and goes from there.
Okay. Um, I think we can do that.
Okay.
Like the so all the deliverables just 500 off. I think we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I
And all we need
appreciate
from you is well, once again, is we just process the payment and then we send you the Google form,
it.
and it
Hmm.
has all the questions you need to answer. It's like the company name, address, link with the pictures, and that's it.
Now, okay. So you mentioned LinkedIn, which kind of made me think about something. I kind of said in the beginning, the website and all that kind of social media stuff, we don't really follow up on that. So our website's pretty old. I'm
Hmm.
not super happy with it. is that important? Like, do you find that these people that click the ads will go look at the website and then be like, oh no, I don't want to deal with that kind of thing, or is it completely independent?
No, usually it's completely independent just because it's not a Google campaign. At the end of the day, all the
Okay.
landing pages where people go, we just created themselves. Like it kind of show you the example, and like once they see the ad,
Right. So they
this is
just go
where they
directly to
go.
you. It's not like there's a link for
Exactly,
our
exactly.
website.
Like they click on the link
Okay.
and they go to the page we created. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, because otherwise I would have had to like try and scramble and fix our website and do all this LinkedIn stuff, and now we just it
No,
just
it's like
sounds like a
we
lot.
don't overcall. Like it's just for the conversion because if we just let them go to the website, like it wouldn't convert anything.
Yeah, right. Well, that's kind of what we found. We get a couple of sales messages from the website like a month, but that's about it.
So what do you think, guys? Are we doing that?
I think we can move forward 1,000 a month and let's see what happens.
Okay, let's do that. Just give me 1 second. Let me pull up my screen.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And what card do you want to use?
I'm gonna have to go grab that for you because I don't keep that one laying around for me.
Sure.